Welcome to the GCCM Europe here and the MMS in 2025 in the beautiful Berlin. But trust me, the weather will be much nicer the coming days. Let's hope, right? All right, we're going to talk about the future of digital identity. I have no clue, Stuart, what we're going to talk about. But you know what? I'm so happy that I have these senior experts next to me who could help me, and give me a little bit of understanding about this topic. And I hope for you too. Anyway, it's interactive. If you have any questions, please raise your hands and you'll get a microphone if you love it or not, but you'll get it. And you can have the possibility to ask questions. So, Tamara, floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Well, I'm Tamara Edo. I have been in this industry for more than 20 years. I'm an strategic advisor and CEO of Secret Key, and I'm really happy to be here and be part of this.
Thank you, and thank you for being here. Bea?
Hi, Bea for the friends, Beatriz Garcia, for more professional. I'm Beatriz Garcia, and I'm the director, business director at JDANet. I've been here 70 years. I started with the messaging part, but now I'm managing also digital identity and other business lines we are working. And well, that's all.
Okay, thank you so much, and welcome to you too. Anto?
Good morning, everybody. Antonella Sanguinetti. I work in Sparkle. Sparkle is a global service provider, headquartered in Rome and connectivity everywhere. And I'm responsible of a product management line that is called Networking, Cloud, Security, and Identity. So already some years ago, when the product line was set up, we already thought about the identity needs and of the digital market. And I'm very pleased to be here.
Okay, thank you so much, Antonella. And I mean, this is all Mediterranean except Stuart. So, Stuart, please.
Sorry about that, guys. Hi, I'm Stuart Evers. I have a couple of hats on at the conference. I'm CEO of telecom wholesaler called Digital Silkway Europe, and I'm also the chairman of a AI-based payments processor. And we use AI also for the dynamic routing in our company in Digital Silkway. And obviously with AI comes a lot of challenges with regard to digital identity, keeping identity safe, keeping data safe, personal data, GDPR compliance, etc. So hopefully I can add a little bit of that texture and flavor to the discussion today.
Okay, thank you so much. And if I may stay with you, I mean, and building the bridge here on the topic, Stuart, I mean, mobile identity, everything, identity, whatever. I mean, we're buzzing around. Can you give a little bit of, and I'll give everybody a quick moment to talk about it. But from your point of view, what do you see? I mean, it goes further than security and so on. But what are we talking about? Just to give a glimpse of the identity, whatever.
Well, I mean, that's a huge question, right? But I guess
we have time.
I guess, and the guys maybe we'll talk about this a bit more. But from my perspective, there are two things that we need to look at. One is we as people, our identities. We have more and more data online now. There's more and more data being put online. There's more and more data that we put online that we know about and stuff that we don't know about. And all of that has to be managed, kept safe, and we somehow have to interact with our digital persona, which oftentimes far exceeds our own native footprint as a person, because we span continents. And then from the AI perspective, we have to deal with something new, which is artificial identities, which is something as humans, we've never had to experience before. And how do we manage that? So if you're talking to a very simple example from our industry, if you're talking to a service representative, in the past, that was always a person. That may not be a person now. And that's not just doing a chat, it may actually also be a person that you're speaking to is not a real person. So there's these identities. These identities can be good characters, but of course, there are bad characters. When you if you study cybersecurity, which I did a couple of years ago at the University of Coventry, they will tell you that one of the things they tell you is that as soon as humans have invented something, somebody invents a crime associated with it. We invented banks, bank robbers, trains, train robbers. And with digital identity, there will be, of course, bad characters.
Thank you. Tamara?
Yeah, I think that we as a telcos, we are challenging new changes on this industry every day. You know, it's a lot of innovation. Um, and all like we have the control to regulate and be the gateway. And we need to find this balance in between security, but usability too, and build platforms that are secure for the users, but are also easy to use and are UX friendly and and so on. So here, like we have, we are the game changers, and we need to put our hands together, align with governments and align with private companies to build these secure infrastructure and ecosystems.
Okay, now let me throw a curveball because you know, were we working together, telcos, operators, as service providers, working together? Whenever did that happen? In real time,
That's the challenge.
right? So Beatriz, how do you see the digital identity? What is it for you?
For me, when we talk about digital identity, it's we refer to a collection of verified digital attributes that uniquely identify a person or even an entity online.
Authentication,
It's making
verification.
sure that the person who is behind the screen is truly who they claim to be.
Yeah, but then we come to what?
Yeah, but
Mr. Eve
the
said.
challenge here is the fraudsters are getting more and more sophisticated.
They're always ahead of time.
So
They are, right?
yeah, they are always better than us. And here is the challenge. Of course, there are many trends now. We have new regulations as EIDAS2 in Europe that they are enabling all the trusted cross borders identities. But yeah, there's also the AML, anti-money laundering obligations for financial services, also for telecoms. We have also the users expecting having a very seamless onboarding, digital onboarding. So, and we have also the AI biometrics that they are with a very advanced identity processes that are making this possible. But we have to work always also with the cooperation with the operators to improve these systems and these processes.
Okay. Anto?
I think most of the things have already been said. To me, I mean, I will reemphasize the fact that in the digital environment, you are not who you are, but you are who you prove to be. So identity is the foundation of trust. And this is essential because, especially from the telco perspective you mentioned, there is a lot of automation now going on. If you think at network as a service, all these automated services, there is not any manual exchange, or at least in the future, we are heading to a full automatized process of ordering and delivery services. So understanding that who is providing the services or who is asking the services is exactly the one you expect it to be is fundamental. So giving an identity to the full supply chain becomes really imperative. And going back to the AI and all what's happening there, I'm very concerned that now that some of our decisions are taken by agentic AI, we need to be sure that they are verified and the access to the information and decisions that they are taking is approved.
Okay. Talking about security, because whenever I hear, okay, guys, you know, authentication, verification, you know, OTP, whatever, you know, all fine. But by the end of the day, when quantum technology is really hitting us in combination with the AI, you know, I'm afraid. I'm not so much for myself, but for my kids, right? So, but where does blockchain come in and talking about decentralized identification and so on, and especially on the security part. I see that.
Well, I mean, blockchain is just a tool, and obviously, as a tool, it adds a layer of security, but it's not necessarily needed to be used. We see now with so when we say blockchain, and there was a huge buzzword. So when I was in Deutsche Telekom a few years ago, we had a whole project team working on blockchain, and then all of a sudden that just disappeared. So they're not using it anymore.
Overnight, right?
Yeah,
Remember?
and they. Yeah, I think you probably met my colleague Myrna, who was in charge of that, right? And now she's doing something else. I think what we should rather than get caught up in blockchain, and of course blockchain has fantastic uses, and of course it can't be copied, and this is what makes it so reliable. It is authentic and always will be, and this is why Bitcoin, for example, is built on blockchain, right? So you can't forge a Bitcoin coin. But I'm going back to what the guys were saying. We should look at what we're trying to achieve, which is the protection or verification of our identities. And then we should look at the tools that enable us to do that. And blockchain would be one of them. But we shouldn't be looking at, rather, in my opinion, of course, I could be wrong. And my wife would tell me that happens all the time. But
I know.
Yeah. But, we shouldn't get caught up just on blockchain itself. Blockchain, we should look at it as a tool, as we should look at AI and all of these other things as well. So, as you were saying, we want AML, we want KYC, KYB. If there are tools that enable us to carry that out. So, for example, in Helix Pay, the processor I'm the chairman of, they use AI for KYC and KYB to make the process a lot faster. So they've gone beyond blockchain, so they can do onboarding with customers in minutes rather than the days it often takes sending your passport to the guys who process it in India, and then it doesn't work, and you're trying to upload your passport and they can't read it. It's very frustrating. But yeah, so I think that blockchain, to answer your question, if I can, blockchain, I think we should use it as a tool, but it is only that, it's only a tool, and there are many other tools.
One of the few.
Available. Exactly.
One of the few. You agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do I protect my personal data, guys? GDPR is everywhere, Who's going to protect my personal data?
Well, that's why blockchain is for. Like, the good thing about blockchain is that right now the credentials and all these passwords and all these sensitive information is hosted on companies, but with blockchain, every part is going to be somewhere else. So the risk is lower, because in order to get a password, you're going to need to get a lot of little pieces. So I do think that blockchain is something that it will help this ecosystem to be more trust and secure.
Okay, but we just heard that, and here's my friend. How are you doing? Good to see you again. Sorry, guys, but he's my personal, Gene has one as well, so that's what it is. All right, but I understand. But again, as Stuart mentioned, it's one of them, one of the tools we can use. Anto.
I like your perspective, because when I first started studying what the digital identity was, the centralized identity was, there was a bit of confusion also in my mind. DID means blockchain, but that's not exactly true. When we talk about DID, decentralized identity, we refer to something that does not require a central authority to be issued and to be maintained. And exactly as you are saying, Tamara. Then, as Stuart was saying, you can use blockchain in order to save the DID document that allows everybody to verify that identity. And blockchain gives this trustfulness because it's transparent, is untampering, is very secure. But the fact that we talk about decentralized means that there is no central authority. How do we protect? First of all, using blockchain.
Yeah, but everybody's saying, no, but there's a regulator and he will protect us and he'll has the rules and everything will be fine. Well,
No.
I heard so much BS in my life, but this is one of the biggest probably.
Yeah,
Because who's there to protect us?
I think there are many ways to protect, and the regulations that are coming out, for instance, for the central governments, the European Union, for instance, will help setting up frameworks that easy the securitization of data. For instance, if you take a GDPR and the new regulation, the AIDAS 2, AIDAS 2, there are very good guidelines on how to segregate data, on how to avoid linkage of activities on one segment with the other segments. There are many rules that, if followed, could help guaranteeing security of that. Definitely the use of deeds, which are self-created and are self-managed, could help that, because one of the key features of the GDPR framework is, for instance, the selective disclosure that you can do with the deeds. Then, of course, if you can limit the number of information, the kind of information that you expose on every different transaction, of course, helps you keep safe. And the zero trust knowledge as well. So there are a few tools that, if well implemented, could help securing your data.
All right. Talking about challenges about my personal data. Nobody wants to know they're out there anyway, right? My personal data, right? Everybody since years. But Beatrice, those challenges about the personal data, should I be confident? Am I safe now?
You are never safe. This is the problem.
So what is there? What should we look out for? What should we use the tools, work together? I'm missing something, guys. What can we do? What can we do? Or what are we facing actually even more? And once we get over that hurdle, then I don't know.
Or in terms of
Your glass bowl.
in terms of if we are talking about AI and biometrics, they are helping to have a very good processes, very seamless for authentications.
Mhm.
They can detect that if there is anomalies or something, if it's a fake identity. So this is very good. But as I said before, the hackers, the attackers are always in advance. So what we are doing at JDANET, we are you probably know the Open Gateway initiative. It's led by GSMA. And here the telcos, they are offering exploiting the data from the network. This is very good. I was looking for a time ago. And what they are offering are APIs, different APIs, like number verification, SIM swap, location verifications. These are different APIs that help on this. What we are doing is JDANET is working very strong with a strong emphasis on biometrical data. But as you know, biometrical data, there are tools that deep fake that are easily you can manipulate, and you can create a very fake identity that is very convincing. So let's make an example. We do a KYC process, and you as a hacker, you want to be Donald Trump, okay?
No.
Or maybe not, another one. So maybe the technology is not 100% secure. So maybe there are two options. The system will believe that you are Donald
Not
Trump
maybe,
or
most
not.
probably, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
But so we add a second layer of security, which is the API. We call API the KYC match. So with all this information, we match your address, name, surname, birthday. So maybe we will detect that you are not Donald Trump, but in case you know the number of Donald Trump, then the information will match. So we will add a second API, which is the number verify. It's like a two-factor authentication, more transparency. Also, the SMS is not intercepted because there is no SMS. So adding this, we will verify that the handset, the device is in your hands, it's from the legitimate owner or not, maybe not. So I think that we have to do also having GDPR regulations, but we have to collaborate together. Collaboration is the key. We have to collaborate with telcos with information, biometrical data, financial services. Altogether, governments, they have to be there as well. They have to put the standards, they have to put the legal authority. Also, the companies, we provide the innovation, user experience, scalability. So all the combination, all the collaboration, I think, is the key.
Okay, okay. I'm still not satisfied because you're putting now, everything will be in the app. What about my health, and all these kind of things? Because there is always a next step, right? There's always a next step. It's okay, verifying, is it you? Oh, yeah, yeah, okay, because this is your financial information. Okay, thank you. So what's my health information? Yeah, thank you. Do I want this, Stuart? Do I want to?
No,
Because by
don't.
the end of the day, I'm somewhere in a couple of data centers around the world, right?
Yeah.
Or even somebody could market, do some
Mm.
marketing behind my.
Yeah, but I think the point you made, we need government oversight as well is very important. So I don't know if anybody has one of these, something like that, Fitbit. So Fitbit now monitors everything about you, including your sleep patterns, your heart rate during the day, how much exercise you do, etc. Right? Now, let's just say that data is not protected under GDPR rules here in the EU. And we also don't really have a huge private insurance industry here in Europe. But let's say in the US, they decide to sell it, they're allowed to sell this data, which could quite happen under this Trump era where nothing seems to be safe anymore. Then all of a sudden, your own Fitbit that you're using for your own day-to-day health, going back to your point, could be used against you by a health insurance company in the US to say, well, actually, hold on a second. We think you're very high risk because you don't do any exercise and you've got a way higher heart rate. And you can't argue more. You can't argue with it because it's from your own wrist, right? So yeah, I think we have to be very careful on the point you made about we need governments as well involved, and we need good actors, because bad actors can do a lot of damage with the amount of data that's out there. And as I said, you're not just in one data center because of cloud now, you're basically everywhere. You're everywhere and nowhere. And are we safe? No. The analogy I would use is, do you know how rabbits survive as a species? Because a rabbit, an individual rabbit, has literally no defense mechanism, right? And everything eats them, kills them, dogs, birds, you name it, right? How they survive as a species is they're very good at procreating, right? So it's just numbers of rabbits. And that's what we are in terms of our data security. You're only safe because you're in amongst 8 billion other people. You are not safe as an individual. And eventually you will get targeted. So just last month, I was on the train to Vienna and I noticed I tried to use my credit card and it was blocked. So I checked. So there'd been $4,500 of transactions went through my credit card with JetBlue in the US.
I told you don't go to that bar. I told you that.
So it turns out there were rail tickets and plane tickets that had been bought in the US using my card. So obviously I called the bank and clearly it wasn't me because I wasn't in the US. But basically, when I was talking to their cybersecurity team, they just said, "Yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. It happens all the time. We can't. It's just you just got unlucky this time. That's it." So you're at some point. Somebody, if you're unlucky, you will get hacked to some extent.
Everyone, minimum one time in your life.
So our only defense is rabbits. We are rabbits. That's it. You just gotta hope that you're the rabbit that survives, But there is no. I mean, also we don't really do a lot to help ourselves if we think we do. I mean, we're all telco professionals here, right? So let me ask you a quick question, right? I assume most of you had a Wi-Fi router at home, right? How many of you have added security protocols onto your Wi-Fi router? And you're all telco professionals, right? Just imagine normal people, right? I didn't do it either until I attended a cybersecurity conference. And then what I saw there was quite scary, right? So first thing I did was I went back and added security protocols onto the Wi-Fi router. And we're telco professionals, right? What hope does a normal guy or a normal person who's not in our industry have, right? They have this box are 2 boxes sitting in your apartment or your home, and you can access every single aspect, not just of your life, but of your, as you mentioned, your children. You know, it's so we are very vulnerable, and we don't do a lot to protect ourselves. And even though we know what we should, I mean, probably we're here talking about digital identity. Now, we probably do more in our day-to-day jobs to protect other people than we do ourselves.
Exactly.
So
No, because it's actually funny. I mean, leave your phone. I mean, if you don't switch off your phone, and, you know, and you talk with your wife or with your husband or whoever, you talk about kitchens the whole evening. Guess what? Next day on YouTube, you get only, you know, ads of kitchens, right?
Yeah.
I like a nice kitchen, by the way, but
the other thing that you see as well is that people now, I have no idea why, and it's particularly socially annoying, but the thing that people do with having calls on speaker on now, right? If you, most of the time you try to ignore it, but if you listen in on somebody's conversation, after about 5 minutes, you know an awful lot about that person. So I was on a bus going out to an airplane a few weeks ago, and there was a guy talking on top of his voice on a speakerphone to his family, and he had a name tag on his bag, so I knew his name.
Yeah.
I knew his wife's name. I knew where they lived, and I knew where they were going to dinner that evening. Right, that's just from that 90-second conversation, right? So again, we're not doing a lot to protect ourselves either,
No.
you know. So
It's not about identity. It's
no,
really
it's
about
yeah, but you know, if one of his security questions is what's your wife's name, you know it, right? So
okay.
what?
You were
Well, yeah, I try to be, yeah. So, but yeah, you know, if the, you know, they say that 80% of internet traffic now is something is bots, and half of those are bad bots. So there are a lot
There
of,
you go.
yeah, and somebody wrote those bad bots, right? They didn't create themselves, right? So there's a lot of stuff out there.
It's probably a telco guy, you know, because you know how it works, right?
Well, I mean, telco guys. I think we are actually more the carriers of the bots than actually the creators of the bots. I would say, right? And we host the bots. We do all of that. So we're the
And we talk about it, but we don't protect ourselves. That's what you're saying, right?
yeah. We do our best, I think, to protect our customers and our clients and our partners, but not doing so much to protect ourselves, particularly as individuals. You know. So as I said, we are rabbits, and you just want to hope that you're the one that survives, right?
Anything you want to add about the rabbits?
The rabbits, but about your question, is this what I like? Well, you don't have my choice. This information is already there. It's like a bounce of information every second creating there. So we need to put our hands together and work on that, because digital identity is a reality. European Union is already on process, every country, of creating these apps for digital passports, and it's going to be linked to our bank accounts, and we need to protect all these systems. As telco, we are the gateway, and we need to help open those doors, making it easy, but balancing it with the security too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to work on
I,
this
there's
because now
no way I
it's
can
being
run
very
away from it. I cannot run away from it.
But
It already,
that's
right?
why I told EIDAS too. In Europe, for example, they are working on it in for wallets. So in the future, when we will have wallets with our identity there, we will be able to share with data minimization. I mean, you will share just the information, you know, the attributes. You will have attributes,
What
your
you
age,
think.
your studies, your address, your neighborhood, everything. And you will be able to share just the minimum data. But that's what they are saying. So
That's exactly the point. That is what they are saying.
but I think we have to work in this direction
It's-
to
it-
to
it-
just
it-
share the minimum information
Mhm.
and protect it.
Anto?
I have to say, I think it's a lot about awareness and giving people the evidence of the risk, because I don't think it's there. No? For instance, I have an experience 5 years ago. I was working in the optical space. So for me, security was mainly attached to the photon, you know. Then I joined Sparkle, and a completely different perspective came. And I was in a meeting, and I met one guy, says, "What are you doing?" "I have a startup doing notarization of images, you know, being fingerprint of images." And I thought, such kind of startup is this, giving a fingerprint to a picture? And then I realized, you know, moving forward, how much important was this to notarize every single information that is there. But on the other, so there is a lot of ignorance starting from myself about security. The fact is that we want to protect our data, but in reality, we have been sharing so much information so far on social. So this is why I think we also needed to be a bit more aware of what we are doing. We assume that the GDPR protects our information, but then we share tons of information on the social media. So I think we need to balance also our behavior. Second, if we keep the personal identity or personal data aside, I'm much scared about what's going on with AI and agentic AIs, because I've seen many demos of how agentic AI can make decisions on our security, for this, our personal safety. Then if that agent is not the wrong one, is a malicious one, then it can damage much more than if they have my health data. So I think there are both tracks to be followed. The personal one, super important for the social, and I trust governments a lot to create framework and initiatives that go in the right direction, including, you know, awareness raise. But as a service provider, I also want to take care of the AI, of every actors that can act on make decisions on the network and on our lives. And I think tools are starting getting there.
Are we getting convinced? Not yet, right? I have this, that there is still this, Arturo. I mean, you know everything about optical, you know everything about cables and whatever, you know. And we talked about it. What was it? 2 weeks ago in Cascais, no? And also talking about fraud prevention and you know security and all these kind of things. There are still too many loopholes. Okay, it's inevitable. We're in it and we'll go that path, right? I mean, we probably have to or are even moved into it, right? I mean, not even talking about CBDCs, you know, which are coming as well. So the digital euro, digital dollar, digital whatever. But the thing is that what I sense in not only with myself a bit, but also audience and public and whatever out there. So people really do not know what is coming and what is hitting them. And then there is no way back anymore. Because once it's in there, in the cloud, it's there for everybody to touch it, for everybody to use it. Insurance companies, for instance, you know, for banks to say, nah, I don't think so. You know, you have also something on your foot. No, that you know that mortgage will not go. You know, no. For instance, this is, and is this what we really want? I mean, it's probably inevitable, but is it what we want? Help me. Or should we immediately go now to the benefits of it, of the digital identity?
I think as every innovation, as every revolution, there are pros and cons. And we need to be aware. That's, to me, is the key word, but also looking at the benefits. You cannot have only bad things, right?
No. For sure. And I don't want to be the ball breaker here, which I normally are. And people would say, yes, Eric, you are. But what I see and what I hear and what I sense out there is that people aren't, I mean, there's also a lack of education, right? But sometimes the lack of education is also there. The people will not understand this. So let's not tell them. You see? And there is no balance for me. There's uncertainty, and especially now in this digital age which we're living in, and things are going super duper fast, right? I mean, can we keep up with it? Do we understand it? Can we keep up with it? And are we protected? I think those are the main questions.
But I think education is a very important point because, for instance, I was reading a report, a Thales Trust Index
Yeah, I wrote that.
report. That's very interesting. And among other figures, it was showing how, I don't recall the percentage, how much people are leaving a brand because they are annoyed by the number of security checks that they have to do before accessing the service. Then I think education is also in that direction. You cannot be fully protected if you don't want to spend 30 seconds to do a multi-factor authentication or to do a captcha. And these were real data. People leaving a brand because there was too much annoying security checks on it. It's a balance. So I think we need to be more patient as users because we want seamless experience, a lot of user experience, as Tamara mentioned. But on the other side, we want to be safe, and everything has a cost.
No, absolutely. About what we discussed with Arturo in 2 weeks ago in Cascais on the data center. I mean, we all need to have access, but no, the data center, no. It should be only green and not consume too much energy. And no, bad guys. But in the morning, I wake up before I have everybody. And let's be honest, before you have your first cup of coffee, you're on your cell phone already, right? You're on your cell phone, and you want to have access, and everything needs to be on demand immediately. But the data center, no, that's dirty. Those cables, no, that's dirty. Doesn't work like that, guys. It doesn't work like this, right? So we need to, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, the if you look at my home country, Ireland, I think like 70% of all electricity used in Ireland now is for data centers. So there's this so there's this huge demand for data storage, and it's only increasing. And
It's gonna explode even more.
that, of course, then if we go back to our discussion about digital identities, well, that's one of the big drivers of it, right? There's more and more personal data, more and more. Every authentication that you have to use is more and more the processing power. This all needs to be stored somewhere, etc. Then, of course, there's the issues around where do you locate the data centers, and the trend now is, so when I started building data centers back in 2005, the data centers usually needed to be within 30 or 40 kilometers of the main city where the users were based, because they want to be able to get to it. But now the trend is that you have them hundreds of kilometers away, isolated. And one of the main reasons for that is, well, there's two reasons. One is because they need more space, so they're not really practical in cities anymore. But secondly, it's because there's no footfall. Because if you do cybersecurity courses, you'll realize that half of all cybersecurity breaches are human, and half of those are opportunistic. So people just see a way of getting into a data center or something like that. If you've got people passing by a data center all the time, or if it's in an office building, there's people going by all the time. It's very easy to get physical access to it. If it's isolated in the middle of nowhere, it's not, right? You stand out if you're trying to get into it. So this is why Apple and Google and all these guys are building these data centers literally in the middle of nowhere. So like this coolest one that they have in Norway, I think it's literally it's 500 kilometers from the nearest major population site or something like that. But yeah, our digital personalities are stored there and everywhere. And yeah, I don't really think we have any concept of how dangerous this could be in the future, particularly with AI. Just give you an example. If you should look up Lewis Goodall. He's a political commentator on Sky. Just look up Lewis Goodall ChatGPT and see the thing he did about ChatGPT lied to him about uploading one of his own podcasts and told him that he had uploaded it even though he hadn't. And it doubled down as well. It actually showed him the transcript telling him that he had said things he hadn't done.
And that doesn't give me any confidence.
No, well, it shouldn't. And a friend of mine is a CEO of a company called Stronghold. They're AI. They're working with AI. They're basically doing business transformation using AI. And they were due to launch a program for a shipping company on, let's say, Tuesday. And on Friday, he saw that it had already been launched. So he called the program and he said, wow, that's fantastic. You got that done ahead of schedule. The customer will be very happy. And the programmer said to him, I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, well, the app is launched. He says, I didn't launch it. So the AI finished the program. It was about 80% complete. It finished it and it launched it without asking anybody's permission or any human involvement.
But I'm happy that the government and the regulator is protecting us, right?
Yeah. Ouch. And that was just an app for a shipping company to track their shipping containers and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure it could do it with anything, right? So I think so. We're kind of what does the Americans say? FAFO, right? I think we're in the FAFO region of all this stuff, and so and I guess you've all seen Terminator, right? So that's one possible scenario.
Exactly. All right. Quick round. Because I want to, it's the glass is half full, guys. It's half full, not half empty. So a quick round. What's the benefit? What do you see as a benefit for in this case, the mobile identity, and how you see it? And what should we look out for? So double question.
Okay. So I see it as a reality, like that's happening now. All this data is already there. And in my opinion, what we need to do is like operators, telcos, companies on tech work together with governments to really protect us. And just build a trust system that it helps us and ChatGPT lies, yeah, but also AI is just a 10% of what it can be. So the potential of all these tools we have right now is enormous, it's giant. So we are late and we need to, start putting the hands together. But as Anto said, the most important thing is we educate individuals. There is still a digital brain. There are ages that are not familiarized with digital identity, or it's going to be challenging, it's going to be tricky, but we need to balance it all, and we need, as individuals, be aware of what we are sharing. All this data is already there, and it's really easy to get your identity or get your bank account, or so we need to educate and at the same time trust technology to help us and automate and help on all these processes, but without forgetting the soul. The machines doesn't have a soul, and that's what we as individuals and as persons we can uh, add as a difference than all this technology.
Okay, thank you. Bea? And
Well,
maybe you can
benefits, let's say something positive. It's not just negative. I think for the individual's perspective, it's convenience for us. We don't want to go to a shop to personate, to present papers. For us, it's very convenient to have all online. We do everything online. So I think this is a good part. Also, in some, you can control a little bit what you are sharing, is what she said. You are exposing on the network, but you are controlling what you share there. And from the perspective of the business, we have very now fast processes, very effectively, that before were manually and now are very automatic. For the companies, I think this is very good. We have, for example, the case of Andorra Telecom as a customer, that they implement the KYC for contracting eSIMs, and they increase 300%. So this is amazing for a company. So I think this is good. It is positive. We are evolving. And just summarizing, I think there will be 4 trends for the digital identity. One is we have to work for the interoperability. We have the digital identity has to work across borders, across platforms, ecosystems. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Yeah. Then we have to have much control, a lot of control, also with the wallets and all these things that they are working. I think this is very important. Also, it's very important adding, as I said before, layers of security as much as possible. And finally, the collaboration between the different players. No one single actor is going to work. Not just governments, not just telcos, not just companies like the technological companies. So, in fact, we participate in a pilot. It was a EIDAS wallet initiative, and the pilot was for the Council of Murcia in Spain. There were many actors. Two of them were Telefónica and Lleida.Net. Telefónica, they were storing in blockchains the digital attributes. With digital attributes, Lleida.Net was issuing a digital certificate that was stored centralized at Lleida.Net. And we were working together also with the EIDAS, the regulation. So it was a very good experience. You could validate on blockchains that the certificate was a valid one and was this certificate was issued by a trusted service provider. So you could validate all the information and the integration of the attributes. And this is the collaboration. I think it's good because we could highlight here both the potential of the blockchains as well and their limitations. But all together, I think makes the ecosystem more secure and trusted.
Okay. So you're happy. Plus you have a proof of concept. That's what you're saying.
It was very interesting.
Okay. Okay, cool. Anton, benefits and your takeaway.
I will look a little bit. Benefits of the deeds in particular is the fact that you're not a slave anymore of the applications asking your data, but you can decide what to put in the verifiable credentials and what to selectively show when you show that, you present them. So there are benefits in that. And looking at positive, the use of digital identity on things, on humans and things, enables a lot of good things. For instance, transparency of the supply chain, sustainability. I mean, there are a lot of features that are linked to the usage of identity that we have not talked about, but could do a much better world. So I want to see also the positive side. If by 2030, as the European Union says, every single object coming into Europe has a traceability through identity and verifiable credentials, then we can make more conscious decisions. So there are risks, but on the other hand, you can select, what food based on the chain, what textile, and what EV batteries. So I think there are many things that are triggered by this, the right usage of the identity. I'm a positive one.
Okay, glass half full. Stuart, famous last words for this panel session, because then we're going to close and move on to the next one. Famous last words. What should we look out for?
Well, firstly, I would agree with the guys that, I mean, it is very positive, right? We're able to do things faster, better than we were ever able to do before as a society, and as individuals and as companies. I think we probably just need to, as companies, we need to collaborate, work together, of course, because we can't do it individually. And then as people, as individuals, I think we need to be careful about what data we share, how we share it, and how we should, as I said earlier with blockchain, we should have an objective of what we want to achieve with our digital and online identities. And we should work towards that, not just create and give data away for the sake of it. And interesting what you said about people leaving brands because of the hassle in putting in security checks, etc. But I think that we need to be disciplined in this. But ultimately, in a way, as individuals, it's somewhat out of our control because the pace of development of digitalization is so advanced, and it's like a locomotive that's running down the hill out of control. We're not going to be able to stop it. So all we can do is try to hang on.
Thank you. Any questions?
Eric, actually, we have one question online.
Thank you.
Let me read it out.
Thank you.
The question is from Mr. Ahmed Serag. The question for telcos. Do you see Camara APIs and the Open Gateway initiative is secure, and you as a telecom ready to expose your network to solve identity problems?
Who dares? But first of all, Ahmed, thank you for your question, first of all. Can we answer?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
fact, I
Yes,
mentioned
yeah.
before that we are working on developing these APIs. We are working with the operators. Not all the APIs are already in production, but I think they are 4 already. And we are using them. And at the moment, it's adding this layer of security that I mentioned. So we are just working now with biometrical data, but AI is very very sophisticated right now. So we have to be sure. We need more data to be sure that it's not a deep fake, for example. So I think at the moment they are working very well. So let's see if all the operators around the world join to this initiative that I think it's great. Also for the operators to monetize this. So yeah, this is my opinion.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can.
Yes, please, Anto.
I don't have familiar with these APIs. We work on the MEF, Sonata, for instance, APIs. Definitely, the framework is open to identity checks, and in this moment, we are developing the DIDs and the blockchain-based verification, so that every moment of every transaction, the identity of the actors are verified. Shall I expose my network now? No. So, but I might.
Hell no.
But I might be able to expose when all this identity and security framework is up and running. But definitely, the auditor touched a very important point, because there is a hidden world of commands running up and down, left and right, which is APIs, that we should not neglect. So the security of the APIs is one big topic that we need to address.
Okay.
More variables. It's true that, for example, the APIs, your mobile phone could be from the company, who is paying, no?
Mhm.
Or maybe my daughter wants to do something, and who is paying is me. So there will be not much in this case. But adding more variables is always
But
more information to have all the.
But you installed it, be honest. To your daughter, you already installed a little thingy on her phone where she is, and you can look that up on your phone, right?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that's what we all do, right? And we want to spy on people. That's good.
My husband, in fact.
And you should. Did I say this? No. Anyway, I would like to thank my panelists, Antonella Scusa, Stuart, Bea, and Tamara. Thank you so much for this. And guys, I hope you found it a little bit interesting. Thank you online for the questions. Thank you so much. A big hug to them. Stay tuned. In 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we're gonna talk about messaging market with Mr. Pradas, with Andreas, with Paul, with yes, of course, Mr. Mobile Square is sitting here as well. So and more to come. Again, thank you so much for being here
Thank you.
with me, and I'll see you.